Welcome everyone to the Real Whovians cast. I am your host Matrixlord212 and I'm with Jack. What's up, Jack?
Hey.
All right. How you doing, bro? Welcome back from holiday. You hear me? I know we're having a little bit of technical issues. You hear me? Okay. So, you seen my video, I seen your video. Why don't you tell us what you have to say about Jodie Whittaker and the whole political agenda and all this other stuff to do with the choice and making the doctor a woman. So go ahead.
Well, I was in Sicily when the new doctor was announced, and the day I woke up, it was sunny throughout the whole month I was there, and there was a huge rain cloud. So I kind of set a sign that when the new doctor was cast, you know, the huge rain cloud, and it was the only time on holiday, and that's when she was announced. So I guess you could say it was a sign. Really, I mean, you know, the doctor has always been, 13 doctors on her, and he's always been a man. I mean, the first story, the grandfather, the whole thing. Like, I mean, you also had later stuff, Time Lords and Time Ladies. You know, if they couldn't, if they could switch genders, why make that distinction between Time Lords and Time Ladies? I don't get it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think the way Moffat's treated the show the last 7 years, the writing's just been garbage. I mean, particularly the Matt Smith stuff, I absolutely hated. Like Series 6, episodes like Let's Kill Hitler, and they were just awful. Closing Time, Hellbent, just some atrocious episodes. I mean, I only started to think it got better with Peter Capaldi. I think the writing did get better in Series 10. So whereas I enjoyed like Oxygen and things like that, but this whole thing is ridiculous. I mean, they've been hinting at it.
Anybody that can connect the dots. Yeah, anybody that can connect the dots can see the moment, even before Moffat took over, he had an agenda. And that agenda being that his first appearance writing for the comic relief special, The Curse of the Fatal Death with Rowan Atkinson, he basically put his stamp that he felt the Doctor should be a woman in the last incarnation or whatever have you. And then when he took over, he had thrown in lines, he had thrown in stories, he had thrown in just about everything he could to push this agenda, where he keeps repeating it in so many different stories and ways that it almost could brainwash the viewer into, I guess, when it did happen, lighten the blow, or just, I mean, if you didn't know that was going to happen eventually, there was no surprise. And the fact that they kept implementing stuff in the script for the Doctor's wife about the Corsair being the only Time Lord to become a woman. And then shortly thereafter, different things happening where Moffat, as showrunner, had implemented stuff that Time Lords were starting to change sex. Like when the 8th Doctor was going to have a potion, and the Sisterhood of Karn said man or woman. Right there was another instance. And then Missy becoming a female. Clara continuously saying to the Doctor, even when she was going to leave the first time, you could be Queen of Gallifrey. Also, Clara acting like the Doctor. Clara acting like the Doctor in Flatline. Clara acting like the Doctor in Death in Heaven. Way too many instances where they were pushing this agenda. The dialogue given to I mean, even Matt Smith, when Moffat's first thing that he wrote under being taken over as showrunner, Matt Smith's lines when he just came into being from regenerating from David Tennant, he says, "I'm a girl. No, not a girl. And I'm still not ginger." And, basically meaning the Doctor did not want to be a woman. And he was afraid with regeneration that he could not control it. So he's always been a man. And what I don't like is, I don't like anybody retconning anything with the original history. I don't want that we get an altered history of Gallifrey to push an agenda. They basically said the Corsair had become a woman from being a man. He was the only Time Lord to do it. And then Moffat kept rewriting the history, and I was very offended by it, especially when he did jokes, and he had his writers do jokes with Capaldi, saying that Capaldi was a Vestal Virgin, his Doctor, that he might have been a woman back in the olden days of Gallifrey, making the viewer think, wait a minute, the Doctor was a woman first and then was a man as the Doctors? But then how could that be if he didn't use up any regeneration energy? And then people were like, well, what if they just changed sex and that wasn't even a regeneration? So, I mean, there was all these rumors going around, people going crazy. And I think Moffat made it really worse doing this. As a showrunner, he had the power to push in the direction he wanted to go. And I feel that this was the biggest forced thing in history that you could see from a mile away that Moffat was trying to do it. And even though Chibnall actually did it, you have to think that maybe the idea was put into his head by Moffat and all the stuff that Moffat has done. So really, was it really Chris Chibnall's idea, or was it Moffat's idea? Then he made people believe that it was Chris Chibnall's idea. Made Chris Chibnall himself believe it was his idea. Maybe through numerous conferences and debates and meetings, he kind of swayed the BBC and Chibnall to make the Doctor a woman. I mean, look at through his writing and his writers as a showrunner. Moffat had continuously done stuff to push the show in that direction, to say it's going to happen. It may happen in the next incarnation. It may not, but it's definitely going to happen in the future at some point. And the Doctor being less resistant towards it and just talking freely about nothing being wrong with being a Queen of Gallifrey, or being that is a big issue and problem. So that is what I have to say. I don't like forced agendas. I don't like the fact that they are pushing and forcing this upon the fans. So, the Doctor, yes, Time Lords have regenerated, and the regeneration has gotten altered, and basically, but this wasn't a common thing on Gallifrey. This was something that happened very, very rarely. It didn't happen all the time. It was already established that way in Neil Gaiman's writing of the Doctor's Wife. Now, whether Moffat had him put that in there, I really don't know. I would love to find out. But according to the Doctor's Wife, the Corsair was the only Time Lord to do it. But then afterward, how, did it happen so often that it was ridiculous? Was it a trend on Gallifrey? What was the story? So, again, you got to respect original history. And I know that as time goes on, people want to change the history. I'm not for that, okay? I like proper explanations. I would love the Doctor just come out there and just basically go through the history and say, look, the Corsair did this. When the Time War happened, things were such in chaos. There was rules about it, and Rassilon was revived. And hey, Jack.
Hey.
Okay, so what I was basically saying why I lost you was that I think if the Doctor came out and told like a companion or somebody the history of Gallifrey. And because I really want the history of Gallifrey to be intact. I don't want it retconned by Moffat or anybody. But if they would have done this and they would have said, look, you know, the Corsair was the only one to become a woman. Nobody else did it before. And when the Time War happened, they revived Rassilon from his tomb because his consciousness was hooked up into the computer to talk. They gave him a new cycle of regenerations. He became Lord President. And when the Time War is happening with the Daleks and everything, to keep the people of Gallifrey, the Time Lords, all in line, they kind of like basically eliminated all the rules just so that way people are on the same page. Meaning that if they're going to war with somebody and their people just wanted to become a woman or whatever, they said, really, at this point in time, we're going to eliminate that rule. It's not important. You want to regenerate into a woman. From a woman, you want to be a man. We don't care. We got to win this war. That would have made sense to me if they would have did that, because it would have showed, look, the most important thing is winning the Time War. So all this other stuff goes out the window. Basically, they would do anything they could to sanctify and strengthen the survival of their species as Time Lords. So to make their people happy, they would make regenerations unlimited. They would make them switch sex. They would bring Omega back. They would bring the Master back. Do anything they could to win the Time War. And then the Time War is kind of over, and they just, now the Time Lords are just, you know, swapping sexes and whatever. But that would have been a better explanation for me and would have been believable instead of saying that it always happened. Do you agree?
Yeah, well, I mean, if they had to do that, then I agree with you. I mean, you know, this whole idea that it's always happened is complete bullshit. I mean, we've had 13 male doctors in a row. I mean, I think it was pretty obvious from the start that he was a man, particularly in the first story, An Unearthly Child. He's a grandfather. What next? He's a grandmother. You know, I mean, the whole idea, I just think, is so stupid. What Moffat's done, yeah, his agenda, like you said, the Curse of Fatal Death. You know, you had you know, Rowan Atkinson, but that was a parody. That was a spoof. You know, that you know, it works fine for a spoof, but not the actual show. But then he started introducing stuff with Neil Gaiman, like the Doctor's wife. You know, stuff like, oh, Time Lord can regenerate into a woman, but it only happens once. I would have been fine with that if they just said that the Time Lord regenerated into a woman once, but it was a freak occurrence. It never happened again. I'd have been fine with that. But no, he started introducing shit like in Now the Doctor, like, oh, man or woman or whatever. And, you know, I mean, the fact that he didn't even take the potion is another indication that he wanted to stay as a man. You know, I mean, the whole idea, I just think it's ridiculous. I mean, it's really stupid. I mean, Terrence Dicks, the guy who created the Master, when he found out that Missy was the Master, he said, oh, I hope they don't make the Doctor a woman. I mean, they've already changed the Master into a woman. I hope they don't do it with the Doctor. But, you know, this is a guy who created the Master. And, you know, we had Missy as the Master. I mean, Michelle Gomez, I think, is great. She gives a great performance, but I just don't see her as a Master. I see her as Missy. They don't even call her the Master anymore. Yeah. I mean, that recent episode, World Enough in Time and all that, a two-parter, it's pretty clear that the Master didn't like what he became, and he killed Missy, basically.
Well, the whole point that I thought with the Master, and correct me if I'm wrong, was that the Master was never going to become a woman, had no intention. The only reason that he became a woman, where he got an upgrade from the Sisterhood Khan or something, because he did say he got an upgrade to completely change the regeneration, was the fact of shock value to shock his adversary, the Doctor, because the Doctor would never expect him to do that, and just to one up the Doctor, to get a rise out of the Doctor, to get a shock, because the Master was so crazy that he would only become a woman just to screw around with the Doctor. Okay, it wasn't that, oh, women power, you know, female power. Even as a woman, he didn't believe that. Okay, because even as Missy, the first thing he did was go to kill Osgood and everything else, and Kate Stewart. It wasn't about female power, women power. You know, he didn't believe that. He was a man in a woman's body, and he was totally a man in that sense, screwing with the female race. I mean, like, basically, you know, making them think that, oh, she's a woman, she's not gonna, she killed everybody. So and even Bill like didn't even care. Like that, it was like, oh, all right. But it didn't really like emotionally affect her that Bill was a Cyberman. So to me, the Master going forward would always be a man again, and that would be the only time ever that the Master will be a woman, only to one up the Doctor. And now that that's over, and she failed because she wound up dying, and the Doctor never got to see her that way. She's going to be a man again, and it's going to be fine.
Yeah, but I mean, the sad thing is now it's just and that whole thing as well in Death in Heaven, sorry, Dark Water, where like she kissed the Doctor. That was just like, oh, this is your worst enemy.
But you know what I see? I see
worst enemy.
Yeah, but she's insane. He's insane. She's insane. The Master. She would do that to screw with him, to defeat him, to whatever. But then it got weird because then as a female, I guess she's in love with the Doctor or whatever because she was trying to, she started wanting to help him. I mean, she wanted to give up. She wanted to, give him an army. I was like, what the hell is happening? So maybe as a female, she started feeling weird, and I don't know. But obviously she wanted to do anything to the Doctor as a female. So I don't know what the hell that was about. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it had to do maybe with the regeneration itself. Maybe maybe with the regeneration that things change. But I mean, that's another thing that's going to cause a problem because when the Doctor's a woman, I mean, what the hell is it? Is there going to be a romance in the TARDIS? Is it going to be like weird?
Well, apparently there's rumors that they're going to have a lesbian. Apparently, Chris Chibnall, I don't know if this is true, but he wants a lesbian relationship with Doctor to have a lesbian relationship.
Well, in a way, he wouldn't be a lesbian because he's a man in a woman's body, so he would still not be gay. He would still be the same, technically, which I guess would make sense. But still,
I mean, to me, the show's just become a parody. I mean, the last 7 years, they just fuck with the continuity so much. They fuck with the characters so much. I mean, you have people like Strax, the Doctor's friend. I mean, this is a Sontaran, right? This is supposed to be the Doctor's enemy, and you're making him into his friend. Then you had the whole Jenny thing. Jenny
also, that Strax could milk a baby from his breast like he was a woman or something.
Yeah, I mean, they're
making have a gender or something. It was like weird.
I mean, they're making the Doctor's enemies into his fucking friends. I mean, you had Handles, the Cyberman. You had that, you had the Dalek and Into the
Rusty.
Dalek. Yeah, I mean, what next? It's so stupid.
I love what they did with the Silurians. The Silurians killed Rory. I mean, and then all of a sudden, Vastra, is a hero, and the whole Silurian race is a hero. When the hell did that happen? I mean, it's just like, all right, they had a peace treaty, and and it was just like, what the hell? So now even the Ice Warriors are going to be like nice. Everybody. So how could you have a show where all the bad guys are good guys? That makes no sense. I mean, it just. Unless, of course, you're going to have all new bad guys, but it still doesn't make sense that every single race is going to be good, because then you lose what the hell you're going to write about with these people. I mean, the Daleks, they kept trying to do that. They kept, even in Daleks Take Manhattan, they tried to do that. The guy was going to become good, Dalek, and he was trying to get the Daleks to become good, and Daleks like, no way.
I think you mean Angels Take Manhattan?
No, Daleks Take Manhattan. You ever see the Daleks Take Manhattan? Daleks Take Manhattan was before Angels Take Manhattan. It was with David Tennant and Martha Jones and Andrew Garfield from Spider-Man fame. Was in the episode.
Yeah, sorry. Isn't that Daleks in Manhattan?
Daleks Take Manhattan. I think it's Daleks Take Manhattan. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah. I think it is. Yeah.
You saw that, right?
No, yeah, I remember that from Series 3 with the pig monsters and all that. And
I know. It's easy to forget if people don't like it. But yeah. I mean, let me see if it was called Daleks in Manhattan or Daleks Take Manhattan. Let me see. You might be right. Let's see.
I think it was Daleks in Manhattan.
Was it? Oh. Daleks in Manhattan. Why did I think it was always Daleks Take Manhattan? That's weird. Okay. It looks like you're right. Yep. But anyway, Daleks in Manhattan. Yeah, so that's the whole thing. It's freaking they made the good guys, I mean the bad guys good guys, and it's just it's become a joke now. It really has. I mean, I saw that other Real Whovians cast as well, the Aftermath Part 1, and then Stephen Price saying he's selling all his Doctor Who stuff, and Old Doc saying fuck. I mean, like,
the only time he ever said it, because he was so outraged. I'm not the only one.
I mean, he was going to give it a chance, but then the moment he heard that the companion was going to be a 57-year-old man, he's like, done. But I mean, I'm sure he'll watch it. I'll talk to him. I'll see what's going to happen with that. But still, I mean, they're pushing agendas. They're not doing the show the way it needs to be done, and they just need to, like, you know, focus on the story and not necessarily all this nonsense about, you know, the doctor should just be the doctor. That's it. Don't get hung up on the gender. Just go out there, save the day.
I mean, that's the thing. Like my friend said it. You know, they're more concerned about the political agenda than they are the actual fucking writing of the show. I mean, this.
Yeah, I mean, like, what about the threat? What about what's going to happen on Earth? What about any of that crap? I mean,
making the Doctor into female, it's a stunt. It's to get more views. You know, if you want to get your writing, if you want to make the show better, you get good writers, you get good writing. You know, this is just a stunt, and it's driving fans away. I mean, I'm not the only one. I mean, a good friend of mine, Alan Kalo, he's not watching anymore, and he's been watching Doctor Who since the 80s. And, you know, I know loads of people now, because of this decision, they're just not going to watch anymore. And what pisses me off even more is if you're against the female Doctor, you're labelled a sexist and all this shit. It's like, you know, the Doctor was always a man. You know, the first story, the grandfather, there were Time Lords and Time Ladies. This whole gender swapping bullshit has only been introduced in the new series the last 7 years with Stephen Moffat. He's fucked the whole show over, and, you know, he's proud of that. I mean, he's got a huge ego, and, you know, I mean, so many things that he's retconned. I mean, that whole meta-crisis Doctor thing, like, oh, that now counts as a regeneration. Even Russell T Davies said in the commentary of Stolen Earth Journey's End that the Doctor regenerating there doesn't count as a regeneration.
And I agree with that. I've even scribed, we've all had videos and debates, and we said unless he completely changes his face to complete the process, he does not lose a regeneration. And the evidence that that was canon was in Nightmare in Silver, where Neil Gaiman said that he still had a regeneration left. And even Mr. Clever had looked to see if that was a lie, and he says, "Oh, you still have a regeneration left." So, you know, I don't like when things get retconned. So, and especially if Russell T Davies makes it lore and golden, like that's what's supposed to be, and then Moffat changes it. I don't like that.
I know. I mean, I don't like the fact as well that the Doctor has always been a man, and then all of a sudden, 54 years of history. I mean, you may as well flush that down the fucking toilet, because I mean, the Doctor has been a man. You know, there's William Hartnell. I mean, if they had established this early on, like say Patrick Troughton, if it was like you had William Hartnell, then it was a female, then John Pertwee, then you had a female. You know, something like that, I would understand. I mean, this all started with Tom Baker jokingly saying when he was leaving the role, you know, oh, whoever he or she might be. You know, it was a joke. I mean, even Tom Baker recently, when he talked to him about Jodie Whittaker, said, you know, if she's not good, they should just cancel the show. Right. He said that recently.
You know, make her regenerate, get her out. Right.
Exactly. I mean, it's so stupid. And, you know, people bring up this whole Sidney Newman debate. I mean, let me tell you something about Sidney Newman. He didn't want the Daleks in Doctor Who. This is a guy who didn't want the Daleks in Doctor Who. He wanted Patrick Troughton to come back to replace Colin Baker. He knew nothing about the lore of the show. I mean, he just gave the show to Verity Lambert, and she created the show. I mean, Sidney Newman, you know, I mean, that's not a valid argument. And I'm tired of like certain people out there just saying like, you know, certain people with, you know, who used to wear a mask, you know, going out there saying stuff like, oh, if you're against a female Doctor, you know, you're sexist. You know, the only reason you don't want, like, I saw a video recently where saying like, oh, the only reason you don't want a female Doctor is because she has ovaries instead of having a penis. And it's like, it's nothing to do with that. It's like the same thing with Ghostbusters last year. I mean, I know you're a big fan of that. I mean, I didn't see.
Well, they're different characters. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
The whole point is that they're completely different characters. They never disrespected it to say that Ray and Egon, you know, and Peter and Winston are replaced by women. No, they're completely different characters. And that's why I respect it, because it is, even in the cartoon, you could have female Ghostbusters. The only thing that was disrespectful about it was the fact that this is a completely different universe, where they just started in that universe as them, and that all traces of the Ghostbusters original are not part of this universe. Which,
yeah, I mean,
I wasn't happy with that, but just to be short, you could always tie that back in where you could have the universes crossover with a multi-ghost dimensional storyline, which they did in the comics already, as I said they should. Like, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I only saw, I didn't see it anyway, but I mean, I don't have a problem with the Ghostbusters 2016 reboot because it was a reboot. You know, they were different characters. It was a different story. This is part of the same, you know, show. This is the 13th Doctor. You know, I mean, it's just, I'm just gonna find it. It's just gonna be ridiculous when you see Peter Capaldi regenerate, and you know, it's gonna be like Jodie Whittaker. I mean, you know, the guy, he's always been a fatherly figure. He's always been a grandfather. You know, Susan was his granddaughter. You know, it's implied that he's had children. It's implied that he's had relationships. You know, I mean, you know, and it's stupid as well because you look at the RTD or, you know, Dave Tennant, Rose, like she sort of had a relationship with the Doctor. You know, what now? He's going to be a woman, like, and like Billy Piper recently came out and said, oh, Rose would fall in love with a female Doctor.
That's bull crap because let me tell you, nobody changes your sexual orientation based on one love. Nobody does that. Nobody's ever done that. That's not true. That's just she's trying to be hip and she's trying to be like, oh, that's what Rose. No, the only way you could definitively find out if Rose Tyler would do that, you ask the one who created Rose Tyler, which is Russell T Davies. Yeah, and even as a gay man, he probably would tell you no, she wouldn't. Okay, because look at how when he was going to regenerate and in Stolen Earth, she was upset. Yeah, she's like, you're still you know. She was upset because he may become something that she doesn't like. So that's why she was scared. She's like, she didn't want him to change because it was about appearance. She loved it. She did like the Ninth Doctor and she loved the 10th Doctor. But if he was going to become something else, she might not be in love with that, and that's what you saw in Stolen Earth. She was worried.
I mean, exactly. I mean, Billy Piper's all for a female Doctor, and that's fair enough. But I mean, let's get it straight. That's Billy Piper, not Rose Tyler. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and for her to say Rose Tyler,
it's very easy for her to say because she played the part. But the only person that's going to answer to that definitively is Russell T Davies, and I would hope that Russell T Davies answers it in a not a politically correct manner, but a real manner. Like, look. She wouldn't. I'm sorry. You know, and that's it. I know he don't want to make waves, but he would be genuine. I mean, you can't just change characters that he created overnight to say that. Even Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker thinks he knows how the direction should be. He even says, oh, I want to have the, you know, fight my evil twin. And people that write for the show, even George Lucas wouldn't even do that. Because he's like, that's not Mark Hamill. That's not like a Luke Skywalker character. So he could say how he thinks Luke is going to be, but that's not how Luke is supposed to be. Only as the writers, you know.
I know, and it's just, you know, the thing is as well, it's just, I think, you know, I mean, yeah, it's like Rose, like, you know, when he was regenerating the Stone of his journey's end, she's like, sure, still you. I mean, she would have been upset. If the Doctor became a woman, she would definitely just...
Of course.
She would have dumped him. And that's just the whole stupid thing is, I mean, it's basically you're retconning your whole show. You're retconning, Moffat's even retconning his own stuff because the Doctor got married to River Song, for God's sake. You know, like, it's like, what next? He's going to be a woman and he's going to be traveling around with River Song? You know, I mean, give me a break.
But the biggest clustermuck was the fact that you saw the 11th Doctor fall in love with Clara and Clara fall in love with the Doctor, and then they throw the old wife into the episode, and it's like, how did something didn't fit their name in the Doctor? It's like, he you know, you could tell that, you know, he was in a weird position, Matt Smith's Doctor, because, you know, he even in that carnation he still loved Rose and he loved Clara, and it was like now River Song was thrust upon him. You know, and how is he supposed to react that he knows in the future she's going to know his name? They're going to be married. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so I guess as he got to Capaldi, he was in love with her, you know, or he was starting to, I guess, as the 11th Doctor. And then when he got into the 12th, he was in love with her, you know, but that was the whole point. It was just that, you know, Moffat's purpose was to get a different love interest for the Doctor because he did not like Rose Tyler. He didn't like Rose Tyler, and he wanted to change that. And the first time he did it with the girl in the fireplace was a great thing, but he wound up killing her off, and the Doctor wound up, you know, with Rose still. You know, so it was like, You know,
his purpose ever since he became producer was to train wreck Doctor Who. Because I mean, I remember reading an article on that, and he said this years ago. He even admitted to it in the 90s. I think it was 95 or something like that. Maybe a little bit earlier or later. But anyway, there's an interview in the 90s where he basically said that all the classic writers were hacks and that they were uninspired and that they were talentless and all that. And he had to apologize for that a few years ago. It's on the internet. You can find like Stephen Moffat interview in the classic series. And he was basically saying all of Doctor Who was shit until you got to Peter Davison. And that's when the show started to get bad. That's the thing. Like, it started getting bad with Peter Davison and Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy. But he was, I mean, his, you know, he's had a love-hate relationship with the show. I mean, you can tell in what he's done with the characters, what he's done with the story. I mean, his scripts have been so half-arsed that, you know, when I've been watching it, you know, since RTD left, you know, since Series 5, I've been embarrassed to be a Doctor Who fan. I mean, it only started to get better with Peter Capaldi, but even then, the writing was still pretty, you know, pretty poor in some of the episodes, like Listen and, you know, Hellbent. You know, I mean, it's just, you know, it's ridiculous. You know, you got Rassilon changing into a black female Time Lord, and she's like, oh, how could I?
Well, no, it wasn't Rassilon. It was the general. The general.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, the general, not Rassilon.
But Rassilon goes from Timothy Dalton to an old guy. It's like, you know, it's like, why would you want to do that unless you couldn't control regeneration energy in the first place? Which is true. They shouldn't be able to, but.
Yeah, and just the whole thing, like, you know, where he, you know, the general, but I've seen that clip, and I remember watching Hellbent, like, you know, when he regenerates into a black female Time Lord, and she says, oh, how can you handle that ego? It's like, just stop it. Just, you know, I mean, we've already had a female Doctor, if you think about it. I mean, Clara, I mean, you had her fucking eyes in the title sequence. You had that. You had, you know, her diner, her TARDIS in space. I mean, she became the focus of Doctor Who. And you watch those episodes, you say, oh, there's plenty of testosterone in the universe. I've had enough of it. It's like all these jibes at men. And, you know, it's like, I mean, I understand, you know, I mean, actually, I don't understand what they're trying to do here. Because, I mean, the Doctor, he's always been a man. And that's the thing. And it's always, I mean, if it was established in the classic show that there were Time Lords and Time Ladies and they couldn't swap genders, why would they, you know, if they were all just the same, if they could all just swap genders, they would all just be called Time Lords. Why call them Time Lords and two?
Because it's an easy way. They think it, rather than really work hard at writing good scripts, it's an easy shock to just write around something stupid like that, rather than deal with like a galactic war with the Daleks and the Cybermen and Centaurans together or something. They're like, oh, let's just change Dr. Woman, and then it's easier to write because we could do the whole season and showing how he's dealing with it rather than him actually dealing with alien threats.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I don't have anything against Jodie Whittaker. I hope her all the best. And, you know, people are going to watch Doctor Who with Jodie Whittaker, that's fine. But, I mean, I just think the whole...
I wish her the best, too. But, I mean, she, you know, she inherited a, you know...
A sinking ship. I mean, it's a sinking ship. It's the political correctness gone mad. It's basically just done to appease feminists. That's what it is. And I'm sick of people who are against a female Doctor, but, you know, aren't sexist or being labelled that because they just want the Doctor to remain a man, which he always has been.
Well, Chibnall might never make him a man again. He may make him constantly women if he keeps regenerating them, which is
you know, I mean, he's already said that he wants to stay for 7 years and that all his Doctors are going to be female. I'm sorry, but apparently for the 13th Doctor, he casted no males. That's sexual discrimination.
Well, exactly. That's something that I heard is in the pipeline, that there's going to be some charges or something going on with that, because just like that time that they had the Alamos, you know, like the movie theater that they said are only women showing for the Wonder Woman, and they got charged with fines and everything. That you can't do stuff like that. So, like for them to just say no men could try out at all. And the cat. Do you realize how they said he's genderless and they say how he could be anything, yet they refused to like audition any men, because what if they would have had a man that was perfect for the role? Then they would have had to choose him. So they purposely left it out. So if the Doctor, the biggest question you got to ask, like people like Chris Hardwick and all that other stuff, is that.
Oh yeah, I mean, let me say about Chris Hardwick. he's a prick. I mean, you know, he's coming out there and saying if you don't like a female doctor, you're an asshole. Piss off. I'm sorry. Just,
well,
you know,
then now I stopped watching his show and he can go F himself. But the whole thing is,
no, he's only been watching for the last few years.
Let me tell you something. People are going to drop off because they don't like shit like that, honestly. And if his shows get canceled because of his stupidity, then he deserves to get his shows canceled for his stupidity. But I do got to say that you can't say that the doctor's genderless and all that other stuff if the BBC themselves and Chibnall refused to audition a man for the role. That is sexual discrimination. That is horrible.
I don't care
what should be paying fines through the ass because you cannot rewrite human rights for a fucking television show. You interview and you audition both men and women, and then you chose the women. And supposedly he really didn't audition any other women, which is Jodie Whittaker. I mean, I haven't had any evidence to the contrary that anybody had tried out. I never heard anybody say that they tried out for the role as a woman. So it's not fair. It's not fair. It's both men and women. Yeah.
I heard this year, Louis told me that apparently there were male actors trying for the role, but they were turned down. They said they wanted, like, apparently a male actor said they want somebody different for the doctor. And that's what they've done. They just decided, you know what? We're just going to cast females, and that's what pisses me off even more. Chris Chibnall says he's going to be the producer for 7 years, and he said that all his doctors are going to be female. You know, it's like, well, you know, this is obviously based on, you know, political correctness than it is actual. You know, this is biased. This is being biased. You know, I mean, just because you've had 13 male doctors doesn't mean that another man can't audition for the role. I mean, you're right. They should have cast male and female and chose the best. I mean, Moffat said recently that they would consider casting a female, but no. Now what they've done is they just closed the door to men and just said, right,
no good. No good. If the doctor is genderless, then you can't do that. Then it's against the rules. Then they're bullshitting. You have to listen. I mean, you could choose Jodie Whittaker, right? That's fine. It's the choice of the showrunner, but you have to audition men, and you have to have both men and women trying out for the role. And then at the end of the day, if you want to choose Jodie Whittaker, okay. But you know what? You can't do that. You can't single out a race. You can't say a show is where a doctor could be a man or woman, and then you don't even allow men to audition for the role. That's no good. And if that's the way the show is going to be, then nobody's going to watch it. It's going to get canceled. And then when it gets brought back, people are going to fix it. You know, and hopefully, you know, I'm a good enough writer by then where I could friggin' be part of the show or do something to fix it. Because I got to tell you right now, I really hope it doesn't get canceled, and I really hope that it doesn't go down that path. But it surely looks like it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is as well, they're throwing away their fan base. And you know, as a kid myself watching Doctor Who, I always wanted to, you know, be the Doctor. You know, I would love to have cast. You know, I would love to have like try and audition for the role of the Doctor and to be cast as Doctor. That was like one of my dreams as a kid.
I got beat up as a kid for liking Doctor Who because people don't even know what Doctor Who was in America. There was very few. And I remember like playing in the schoolyard, maybe like this was my TARDIS or whatever, and I was like really young. I think it was in first grade or whatever, and there was like a thing, or it was maybe I was in second grade. I don't know, but it was just like these kids like didn't know what the hell I was talking about Doctor Who. They thought I was talking about like doctor, like a real doctor, and it was like I got it. I got beat up in the schoolyard for liking Doctor Who, but that's dedication. But like seriously, I mean, you know, it's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. But still, you know, I love Doctor Who.
No, but I mean, I agree with Peter Davison. You know, kids are losing their male role models, and they are. And he made a fair point. I mean, Peter Davison has made some really fair points that, you know, why don't we do a spin-off with Jenny? And people have said, and I said this before, if you want a female lead, I'm fine with that, but just create your own show. Create a spin-off show like Sarah Jane Adventures or Torchwood or something like with a female lead. Why does the Doctor need to be a female? And I feel really bad about Peter Davison because he's getting so much shit. He's getting... Yeah. I mean, I saw an interview of him recently and he had spots all over his face. He was stuttering. He looked terrible, and he's been harassed because he just
thinks... he must be a wreck. No, I don't know how he does the big finish. I don't even know how he does the big finish.
He had to quit Twitter. The harassment got that bad, all because he thinks the Doctor should remain male. And I find it ridiculous. Like, you know, and Colin Baker, you know, coming out and saying that he wants a female Doctor. I mean, this is the guy who said the Doctor, you know, is a role for both genders. No, is a role that any gender can look up to, whether he's a man, you know, you know, as a man, you know, both genders could look up to him, but all of a sudden now he's saying, "Oh, I'm all for a female doctor." It's just to take the light off him because he was such a bad doctor, you know. It's because this casting news, like he's supporting it because it's taking the light off him as being a bad doctor, you know. It's like, "Oh, you think I was bad? She's gonna be worse," you know. And that's the thing. I mean, the thing is as well. It's like I know. You know, I mean, I think my friend said it recently that, you know, he's been watching Doctor Who since the 80s, and, you know, he feels like he's being lied to the BBC. You know, he's like, what else was he supposed to think when the Doctor was male for 13 incarnations? You know, I mean, it's pretty, like, when these feminists and whatever come out and say that it's not called Mr. Who, it's called Doctor Who. Well, why is a Doctor being male for 13 incarnations? I mean, isn't it pretty obvious that he's a man? You know, it's just complete pandering, and I think the show's going to go down the toilet. I think it's going to get axed again. I mean, they're throwing away their fan base. I've seen so many videos who are so against a female doctor, and, you know, they're not going to watch the show anymore. And that's what they're doing. They're throwing away their fan base to get a new fan base on board, and so they can boost their ratings. But they're going to throw away the other fan base. And, you know, these feminists or these SJWs, they're only going to watch for a couple episodes. They're only going to watch for 2 episodes, and that's it. You know, they're only going to see.
Nobody's going to commit. This whole thing about them wanting a doctor woman, majority of them, I can't say all of them, but majority of them are not going to stick around for 10 freaking months, or actually 16 months, I guess, because it's still not Christmas yet. Nobody's going to stay around for 16 to 17 months. And they're going to forget about it because they're going to be pushing agendas for every other hero to become a woman. Like, now they infected the Greatest American Hero. So now the Greatest American Hero, again, is going to be a female. And it got canceled the last time. And I'm not going to watch it. I waited for, you know, I'm not going to watch any of these shows. Now, people have said, well, how could you give Doctor Who a chance, but nothing else? And like I said before, many a times, I watched Doctor Who before I knew how to read or write, you know, or anything. It was when I was in kindergarten. So I'm not going to give up on the show that easily because it's a part of me as much as it is me eating and breathing and sleeping. So, and really is. It really genuinely is. So
I just don't see the point staying on when basically the show can change the rules and they can just do whatever the fuck they want and just fuck the continuity of the show.
Even I have limits. I mean, I may drop off. I may be annoyed that that's actually what it is, and then that would be unfortunate. But I'll have to wait and see. I will definitely commit to the regeneration, and I will definitely commit to episode 1. And beyond that, we're gonna have a wait and see attitude. That's basically it. I can't commit to the complete series because I can't. If I don't like it, I'll be done. You know, so. Again, it's very funny that way. So again, it would be unfortunate.
One thing I will say though about some Doctor Who fans is they're deluded. Like, there's some fans who just completely dedicate their whole channels to Doctor Who, like a certain guy who's.
Well, this whole channel came to be because of my love for Doctor Who, and then it evolved.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you. I'm saying, like, there's a certain guy on YouTube, certain masked individual who, you know, he dedicates everything to Doctor Who. He does the Doctor Who news and all that. And, you know, I mean, he was totally against Star Trek because they rebooted it, and he's like, oh, I'm not Star Trek, I'm not watching anymore because of J.J. Abrams films. But you know, and he claims to be a classic fan, but he's fine with a female doctor, and he's just deluding himself. Like, he's saying, like, oh, you know, people are complaining about the ratings. Well, you know what, the ratings across all BBC shows are down. I mean, I'm sorry, but if the ratings were like 10 to 12 million during the Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant era, the height of the, you know, the revived Doctor, if you were getting 10 to 12 million viewers for the Christopher Eccleston and Tennant era, and you're getting as low as 2.89 million for Eaters of Light, that shows that the quality of the show has dropped so much. I mean, it's the same thing that happened with Sylvester McCoy. You know, 10 years previous, you were getting 16 million viewers with Tom Baker. Now you got like 3 million viewers with Sylvester McCoy.
I can't speak for. I mean, I could speak for myself, and I have no right to speak for the former masked man who I knew or anybody else that does any podcast. The only thing I can say is, you know, I'm pretty sure if you look at old podcasts and episodes, certain individuals' opinions were completely different, probably, than what is being reflected now. And yes, people can change their opinions, But I remember a lot of people just being dead set that they never wanted to see it. So I guess the only way you could have a clear view of that is to go back in the past and look at things like that. But you know what? People have a right to their opinion. The only problem that I have, even if they change their mind, they want a female doctor, granted, I respect you for changing your opinion or having that opinion, but don't threaten other Whovians that made the choice. That don't like say they're not real. Don't play the subscriber game thinking, oh, you have the most subscribers than anybody else, or maybe that you're above anybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever.
It's like, oh, I'm with
nothing to do with that.
It's like I'm with Jodie Whittaker.
Nobody's going to tell me, like, he's not going to tell me that I'm not a real fan with all the stuff I've done. And I'm not going to tell that to him because, again, we're allowed to be differences of opinions. But if anybody calls me an asshole for that choice or anybody says I'm not a real fan, they can go F themselves because I know I am a real fan. I don't need them to make up bullcrap. And the only reason I feel that they do that is to create drama and subscribers and views for themselves because they're going to even alienate their own regular subscribers where they're going to make an announcement on their page and then their subscribers are going to attack them, which has already happened. And then you're going to start dropping like thousands of subscribers into nothingness. So
a lot of these, and one thing I will say, a lot of these Doctor Who fans, a lot of them are new series fans, like Emergency Awesome. Like you said, the first Cyberman story was the Tomb of the Cybermen, and the first Doctor Who story with the Daleks was an unearthly child. I mean, these are people.
They don't like know. They want to.
They know jack shit about Doctor Who.
Correct. Listen, I got to tell you, and everybody knows this. I love Doctor Who so much, and so do you, right? That back in the day, I mean, when I first started, or first couple of years or whatever, I was so passionate about it that if anybody questioned like me being a real fan, I flipped out. And you remember, you and I came to blows because it was like, who's the ultimate fan? Who's that ultimate knowledge? And you know what? It comes a point in time where you and I look back at it, and you know what? What the fuck? Who the fuck cares? What does it matter? We both love Doctor Who. You love Doctor Who. You do all your reviews. You have all these freaking DVDs. And me, I have over 1,000 podcasts on Doctor Who. So it's not in question that you're a fan of Doctor Who, that I'm a fan of Doctor Who. We both could be fans of Doctor Who. Nobody could be better than the other. And yes, maybe we both have egos and like, I know more than you and you know, but who gives a shit? Because ultimately, we're both fans of Doctor Who. And then there are people out there that are actually the real enemy that basically are trying to brainwash other Whovians to say, if you are against a female doctor, you're not a real fan. You're an asshole. Don't subscribe to that person. Don't watch that person. That person's fake. And if you're going to tell me that Mr. Jack is not a real Doctor Who fan, with all the money he spent on Doctor Who, with all the videos that he did on Doctor Who, with all the podcasts that Mr. Jack did on Doctor Who, you're full of crap. And if you're going to tell me that I'm not a real fan, and I just sit here for like probably, if you added up the amount of hours, it would probably come out to like maybe a year, okay, or something like that, the amount of over 1,000 podcasts here, and even countless videos that are not podcasts. If you're going to say that I'm not a real Doctor Who fan, then you are completely mistaken. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm glad that after all these years, you and I, you know, are civil and we could talk about Doctor Who, come on here and talk about our passion for the show and what our opinion is without us going against each other's throats. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I find it really annoying when I see these people talking about, you know, that they're real Doctor Who fans and all this. And, you know, they're saying like, oh, and like these, like the certain mass individual, you know, preaching that he's a bigger Doctor Who fan because he's staying aboard with Jodie Whittaker. Oh, I've accepted change. Look at me. You're sexist pigs. It's like,
people just want to do
that.
Yeah. People want, listen, I love my channel, and I love my channel more to talk with friends. I'm not about like subscribers. If I was about subscribers, okay, I'd be creating posters. I'd be like sending links. I would put half the time when I'm doing these videos, I just put Doctor Who and a hashtag. That's it. I don't make like 50 million hashtags. I don't make like half the times I don't even want to do thumbnails. I just want to have fun, you know. Other people, yeah, they want.
You don't go to like random Doctor Who celebrities and say, "Oh, welcome to the channel."
And if somebody did come on my channel, I would probably have a cast with everybody talking to that celebrity rather than just me interviewing them. Because that's the way it is. It's fun. And I want people to have fun in here. I don't want people to be like, oh, Howard a dick, man. Only he interviewed the celebrity and his own cast members didn't get to go. No, it would be complete opposite. We would probably all be in a cast with that person and have fun. And maybe I would interview them also. But the thing is that's what it is. My channel, I want it to be fun, friendly. People have fun. There's many differences of opinion. Yes, not all of us in this cast get along. I'm sure people can't stand each other sometimes, and then people are not. But still, you know what? You'll always get a different opinion on my channel, and I'm lucky that I get to have you sometimes, and Connor and Louie and a whole bunch of other my D and everybody differences of opinions on here. I do appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll see others too returning here and there, and maybe we'll get to talk.
I mean, I got a comment recently from this guy because I left a comment on another guy's video about Doctor Who, and I think he's one of your subscribers.
My subscriber?
David. Yeah, I think he leaves a comment on your video. I don't know if he subscribed to you. David Blythe. He basically replied to my comment recently saying that you're a phony Doctor Who fan. You're a phony, sexist Doctor Who fan, and I take Sidney Newman's news of Doctor Who any day. It's like, and then he went on to preach to me about that he's he's accepting of ever-changing rules of Doctor Who, and that's fine. I mean, I don't have a problem if you're going to watch Doctor Who with a female doctor, but just because I don't want to watch a female doctor doesn't mean I'm a sexist, doesn't mean I'm any less of a fan. It's just it's ridiculous.
I would honestly, you know what, it could be an initial reaction because there were times that me and that individual didn't get along or didn't see eye to eye, but he has been in the community for a long time, and he has been commenting to the Masked Man, to me, to everybody else. And sometimes things are great, and sometimes they're not. But you know what? I would just not take it personal with him because maybe he's passionate about it so much, like you are about the Doctor being a man. Maybe he's passionate about Doctor being a woman, but I don't really see him as a bad guy or a negative individual or a bad person. I just think that there's a difference of opinion there.
I just think it's ridiculous though, because I mean, it's like, if you're for a female doctor or if you're not for a female doctor, who cares? I mean, we're all Doctor Who fans. He said you're only a Doctor Who fan at the point. Well, I'm sorry, I'm still going to be buying the DVDs. I'm gonna get into Big Finish now. There's others Doctor Who. I mean, that's what's good. I mean, it's not like 30 years ago where you just had the TV show and that was it. You have Big Finish now. You have the comic books. You have all this stuff. So I'll just I'll listen to Big Finish, and I don't care.
And we also we could have David on here talking with you, and you guys would not fight, of course, because I wouldn't allow that. I mean, when it comes to talking about Doctor Who, everybody's passionate about it, and you'll have a good time. I do hope we can get him on here, and I'm pretty sure that you guys wouldn't be fighting. I think it's just a one-off thing or something, but it's not like the Masked Man. That's completely different. I mean, that for some reason that guy is just looking to have a go with people and mentioning me and you and
he just wants everybody. To boost his subscribers. He just wants to boost his subscribers.
I mean that I couldn't
and then
when
Doctor Who gets cancelled eventually, he'll have nothing else to go on.
I mean, I'm sure that he's probably struggling right now because I don't really know. I mean,
what's he going to do for the next? What's he going to do for the next year? When Doctor Who's not going to be on the air.
Back in the day, when we started having these scares where Tennant was going to do specials instead of Doctor Who, and we weren't going to have Doctor Who on a regular basis, I had created the Everything Show. I had created all these different casts because I figured there was going to come a time where if Doctor Who was off the air, even for like most of the year or completely, this channel would survive without it. Meaning we would have other outlets to talk about, and it would be put in place where it wouldn't be like Doctor Who ended and then we started a new show. These shows like the Everything Show, the Horror Cast, Real Walking Cast, Topic Wonders, all these different things would be always there with many episodes, and we could just jump right into it, and it wouldn't be like forced where we would have to create a show immediately because Doctor Who ended. So people will be used to us enough where they would get to talk to the Real Whovians cast members in the Everything Show about different topics, and that was the main reason why I did all these things, because I didn't want that to happen. I wanted this show to my channel to continue. And the only suggestions I would say is I think that people should do that now. I think that, you know, people should make plans where
I also think
their whole channel where it could be, you know.
But I also think it's disgusting, like when someone like Ian Levine says a post, like, I mean, it wasn't a nice post, but he basically said, you know, this is really bad casting a female doctor. It's ruined the show. I'm not putting the expletives in there, but I mean, it really pisses me off when you see someone like a certain mass individual or someone else like Moffat or even David Blythe saying Levine's a fat prick. And this is the guy who, you know, this is the guy who saved the first Dalek story from being wiped. This is the guy who saved loads of Doctor Who stories that, you know, would probably still be missing in the archives if he hadn't saved them. You know, I mean, he may be against the female doctor, but how dare you call him like a fat prick and say he's worthless and all that? I mean,
the only thing I could say, I'm not trying to defend anybody. The only thing I could say is that sometimes when people are passionate about stuff, they say stuff. I mean, plenty of times you and I had bumped heads in the past where we both weren't thinking straight, and we were just saying crazy shit to each other and whatever. And then meanwhile, we're you know, now we're friends and we're like on here. So I think it's a different thing between the Masked Man and the David guy. I'm telling you right now.
Well, I
think it's completely different. Yeah. I think it's completely different. I foresee David guy could be someone that could be on the show talking to us and have differences of opinion that could be respected. The other one, I don't ever see that happening, because I just see that people looking for a Whovian 2 War 2 or something. I don't know, but which is not going to happen.
I mean, that's the one thing we'll say. I've never talked to David in real life, and you know, I'm sure he's a nice guy, so you know, I don't have any problems with him. It's the former Masked Man who just blocks
people look to start
the better opinion.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, and this is what's going to happen. There's going to be 16 months without Doctor Who, okay? People are going to be desperate to talk about something. People are going to create drama. You're going to see people trying to start a Whovian 2 war because there's nothing else to talk about. They don't have any other shows to talk about. So they're going to troll. They're going to battle. They're going to do all these different things.
Yeah, like that monster bastard.
They're going to go after me. They're going to go after people because they need something to talk about for 16 months. And I'm not budging. And you know what? Let their channel die. Because if they can't make the change to keep it to survive, then let it go. And I'm just going to continue to do what I'm going to do. You're going to continue. You do stuff besides Doctor Who. You review movies. Yeah. You did the Netflix movies, Pink Panther movies, Clint Eastwood movies. I've seen it on your channel. You reviewed all different other movies. You're going to continue to do your reviews. Louis going to do his stuff. Connor's going to do, I mean, you know, whether Connor is Doctor Who or not, he's going to do his stuff. So everybody's going to do their own thing. Nobody's going to be going to war with each other. And if a war is going to start, you know, I'm going to do my best to just not be a part of it or you know, enable it or whatever. And it's just let them just deal for 16 months. You know, it's like that is what it is. The Everything Show will be going on, and I'm going to even be creating new podcasts to talk about, like, strictly with comics and other things. And I want all you guys on there because I want to, like, show off, like, the Game of Thrones. Like, you guys like Game of Thrones and all these other shows like that. You guys, you know, we need to focus and boost. You know, and that's what's going to happen, you know, on my channel, Matrixlord212. And also, you know, I do other fun things too, like create different characters, almost like Silent Live has their characters, make fun out of things, you know. So, I mean, you're going to do different things on your channel. I'm sure you're going to have podcasts and stuff on yours. So you got to change with the times. You got to, you know, make arrangements, you know, because there's going to be a time where Doctor Who's not going to be on the air for, like, and look at these companies. Look at how Russell T Davies created a show just because he didn't want people out of work. Remember what I'm saying? I mean, we had science fiction graphics designers. You know, all these people that did the special effects, they were out of a job. Remember when Moffat had split the series and then the show wasn't on the air for whatever? These people had to go work somewhere. So even these Doctor Who sites, I can't imagine what they're going to go through. What could you possibly talk about Doctor Who if there's going to be nothingness for like 10 months or 15 months? They're going to start creating bull crap stories. So a lot of people are going to suffer. Doctor Who pages are probably going to go down, or they're probably going to become like fake news or different things just to survive. And you know, I would just suggest, like, with my channel and your channel, we're going to do different stuff. and we're going to see what happens. And when Doctor Who comes back, we're here. So that was a mouthful.
I mean, the thing is as well, I'm still going to be reviewing Doctor Who. Like I reviewed all the William Hartnell and Patrick Troy are the only one left after reviews of War Games. And I'll be moving on and reviewing the John Pertwee stuff. I'm still going to be doing that. And I'm doing my new podcast, Who Cares? We did one on the female Doctor. So I mean, the thing is, I'm still going to be reviewing Doctor Who, but I'm going to be doing other stuff as well. And the thing is, I just don't see Doctor Who lasting much longer with all these breaks that they're having. I mean, ever since David Tennant left, there's been far too many breaks, and people have lost interest. That's a huge indication as well. When your viewing figures are 2.89 million, you could tell the show is going down. That's the lowest overnight rating they've ever had for any story of Doctor Who. I mean, I know we have iPlayer and stuff like that now, but still, it's pathetic. You're getting 10 million viewers for David Tennant, and now you're like as low as 2.89 million. It's rubbish. I'm sorry, and I just don't see Doctor Who, like surviving that much longer if viewing figures are pathetic. And this is just done as some kind of, they're trying to do this to boost ratings, but they'll lose half their fan base because so many fans I know, so many people I know just aren't watching anymore. Louis isn't watching it. My friend Alan isn't watching it. My friend Ollie isn't watching it. My brother isn't watching it. My cousin isn't watching it. So many people who's not going to be watching it. But the best thing
about Doctor Who is that it was canceled before. And it regenerated, and of course it didn't work as a show because it had the 8th Doctor, and that was canceled again. But then it came back. So the whole thing is that, I mean, you could consider Doctor Who being canceled twice. I mean, it could and probably will be canceled again. But the best thing about the show is that he could regenerate. He could be another Doctor. The show could have new life.
When it came back, I mean, towards the end of the show, like the last season of McCoy, it was starting to get better. Then when it got cancelled, that's because the ratings were low. And then it came back to Paul McGann, and it was a pilot, but it never took off. And then when it came back to Chris Eccleston, that first series and series 1 to 4 of David Tennant, that was all really fresh. That was really good writing. They didn't shit on the continuity. They didn't shit on the show. They didn't reboot the show. And also, he respected the source material. Moffat hasn't done that. Chibnall hasn't done that. I mean, Chibnall, he's gone with. I mean, Chibnall said if it wasn't for Moffat turning the Master into a woman, he wouldn't have made the Doctor into a woman. Just gone with, this new series bullshit that Moffat's introduced. He's retconned the classic series. Oh, the Time Lords, they can all swap genders, and like, no, the Doctor's a woman. It's a gender free for all now. I mean, you may as well have, a cat as a Doctor. You may as well have that,
I mean, he's had it in the books, right? So, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's stupid. I mean, it's, I know he's an alien, but there are certain rules set down by the creators of the show and the people who wrote the classic show that you got to respect. You can't just, chuck it away like that. I mean, that's what Moffat's done. He's just like classic series, just chuck that in the bin, and he's turned away a lot of classic fans. And now the BBC have announced they're releasing that animated Shadow. They're only doing that because they know the classic fans are all running away now, and they just want to bring them back.
That's definitely true. They're trying to woo them back. Yeah, I agree with that completely. All of a sudden now you decide to do that. You didn't do it for 20, 30, you know what I'm saying? So I agree with you on that completely. And we're going to close here because I do have to go. And I thank you very much, Jack. I do want to say to all the Whovians out there to be open-minded. If someone doesn't approve of a female Doctor, it doesn't mean they're not a real fan. It just means they don't approve of a female Doctor. Don't start picking people apart, dissecting them, trying to boost yourself and knock them down. It's not going to happen. My channel ain't going to go anywhere. Jack's channel ain't going to go anywhere. Nobody's going to start crap to try to push the agenda that there's only one choice, one thing to say, their way or the highway. No, we don't have no dictatorship in my country. It's a free country made up of many different opinions, many different religions, many different races and sexual orientation, and no one is going to tell me that my choice is wrong and there's only one choice, a female Doctor. No.
Yeah, I mean,
this ain't a dictatorship. This ain't a dictatorship. Nobody is talking German here. None of that garbage. So I'm going to tell you right now, honestly, it is very unhealthy and it's very disgusting that people are doing that and saying that you know, they're trying to make it like their choice is the only choice and everybody else should go to hell and all that other stuff, and it's wrong. That, we already had somebody try to do that and they got taken out and a war ended. So that's all I'm going to say for now. But thank you very much, Jack. We'll continue this. We'll definitely continue this at some other point in time. We'll have a bigger dialogue on. I do have to go, though, and I do apologize. But thank you, Jack. Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye for now.